Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, and I was just telling her as we were setting up for this, was like the family favorite. And I hope that doesn't discourage the other 20-something interviews that I have coming up with Shark Tank. But this is it right here. This is the Marola family number one. They were all about the Spatty and the Spatty Daddy. It was their favorite Shark Tank episode. And I was just telling Cheryl that I'll probably have steak and potatoes and, maybe even a little dessert tonight, even though I'm not a big sweet guy. I mean, who knows? Just because I'm delivering. And I do that for you guys too, by the way. Just constant delivery. I just get it done. My guest today is the creator of Spatty and Spatty Daddy, the all-purpose home and beauty kind of spatula tool that gets every last drop, right? Doesn't leave the stuff in the bottom, the 25% that you're paying for, but you're not getting. And it doesn't matter what you do, you're not getting, unless you have a Spatty or Spatty Daddy, you're not getting it. Ding, 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 money saver, right? So she took that on to Shark Tank, season 4, episode 5. And she also has a little surprise for us about Shark Tank, which I didn't know, and she's going to tell us all about that. I want to welcome Cheryl Rigdon to What Would You Ask podcast. How are you, Cheryl?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited too. And I mean, we collectively. To remind everybody what the Spatty was, in case it's evolved, and we haven't got to that part yet, but what did you bring on to Shark Tank with you?
Yes, when I went on Shark Tank, I just had my handmade Spatty that I had made in my kitchen that I brought on there. I had a smaller size that was like for your foundation bottles. And then I had a larger one, the Spatty Daddy, which is for your lotions or your shampoos, conditioners, ketchup. So those are the 2 products that I brought on Shark Tank with me, just my little handmade Spatty and Spatty Daddy.
And then they did a follow-up. Matter of fact, I saw it the other day. Maybe it was last week. Maybe a little bit longer than last week, but I saw the the updates on stuff. They did an update, or maybe it was a tape I was watching with an update, but they came back to you and you had the whole manufacturer one with the blue tips and all that. How much longer after the show was that follow? Was it 6 months, a year? How long?
Everything kind of was pretty quick. I was went and filmed Shark Tank in like June or July of that year. Yep. And then my episode aired in October. And then from that, I started getting product made. And I think it was maybe December that I had product. And then that re-aired. The follow-up they did on me was in the same season. It was towards the end of that same season 4. So I don't remember exactly when they did the follow-up. But it was only a few months, past that when I was on Shark Tank that they did that.
So once we announced that you were going to be on the show, we had a ton of questions come in, and we've organized them in really 3 areas. First, pre-Shark Tank, what inspired you to do it? All of that stuff. Then in the tank, under the pressure cooker, what was it like to be standing there by yourself? I mean, you should have took football player or somebody with you just to kind of like those guys off you, because it's rapid fire in there.
It is.
And then post tank, right? What's going on with Spatty? Everybody wants to know what's it going, where they can find it, and we'll talk about that as well. So let's jump right into pre-Shark Tank. Paul from Cleveland, Ohio wants to know, how many times did you apply, and what was the audition process like?
So I just applied once. I was actually on I was on a website called Edison Nation, because I just had a handmade product, and on Edison Nation you can submit your product to different things, searches that are going on. And on there it says something about Shark Tank, and I didn't know what Shark Tank was. And so I was like, what is this Shark Tank thing? And so I looked it up. This is kind of thing right when it was getting big and popular. Mm-hmm. And I looked it up. It's like, oh, this would be great. And an email submission, talking about my product. And then they wrote back and said, hey, we're interested. I think within a month, I think I got an email back saying they were interested, and they were ready for me to, I guess, do the next step where I had to sign away my life on a
70-page contract.
Yes. And then I had to do answer several questions on a video and sent that in, and the producers were excited about it. And, I think I'm only one of a few handmade products. I think Ava the elephant was the first, and I might have been the second one. There haven't been hardly any, products on there that was so early on were still just handmade and weren't manufactured. And so my producers were wonderful and, pushed for me to get on there. And so, I'm very thankful for them. But yeah, I just applied that one time and, got on that season. So.
That's amazing. And, it's a reoccurring theme of the work that everybody that I've interviewed has said when we talk about those questions about coming on in the audition process, the work that they do with you through I've heard people have interviewed or started the application process and got on in 6 months. I've heard 9 months. I've heard over a year. But one thing that's been pretty consistent is the producers working with you to set your presentation. And this, I'm not talking about when you get to LA. I'm talking about, and you know this obviously, but the months before, the work they continue to do and say, do a little bit more of this or don't do that. Or they really help you out, don't they?
They do. Yes. We have I feel like when it gets closer time, it's almost like a weekly phone call that you have with them. So
they really want you to succeed. They're setting you up to get a deal, right?
Yes. They're very helpful, and the producers were great that I had, and they even kind of help you with your outfit choices. And you're like, don't wear white or don't wear black, wear some color, so you stand out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you get out to LA, and then what happens? Are you there for a week? Are you there for 3 days? Do you prep with your producers while you're there? Tell us a little bit about the experience when you come out to LA.
Yeah, so they flew me out there, and put me up in a hotel room with all the other contestants that were going to be going in front of the Sharks. And then you go and you have a big meeting where they tell you what you can and can't do, and then you have to pre-pitch just to make sure you don't freeze when you get in front of the Sharks and you don't kind of just stand there. I remember I was doing my pre-pitch, on the show. I had my lotion bottle, and I was like, hey, nothing's coming out. And I did the pump, nothing came out. Well, I had my lotion bottle, went with me on the plane, so I didn't have a chance to make sure, I guess there wasn't any lotion in the pump or anything like that. So they brought it out to me for my pre-pitch, and I said, look, nothing's coming out. And I pushed the button down, and the lotion comes out. I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. Let's try that again. So,
that's funny. But, did that worry you when you went out there for the show? Like, please, when I push this down, don't.
I did. Yeah, I talked to him. I was like, we got to make sure it does not come out. They said, I hope it does. We can, always, redo that.
But then you worry about, wait, all right, it didn't come out. It didn't come out. Wait a minute, is the next one going to finally just come out? Oh my God, that would freak me out. Oh, I'd be like, oh no, I know it's going to come out. Just my luck. That's really cool. So then you're there and you're working with them. When do you know that tomorrow I'm going to go there? I know you go and.
No, they call you the night before and let you know. I think I got a phone call at 9:00 the night before and said, okay, you're going on at this time tomorrow to pitch for the Sharks.
And how are you a couple hours early for that pitch, or you get there, or they just tell you when to get there?
There's two different sets. There's a morning set and an afternoon set. Okay. And so they tell you if you're on their afternoon set, you may or may not get a pitch depending on how long the morning pitches go. So I was on one of the morning pitches, the second one I was going in the morning. And so there's like whoever's on the morning one, they bus you to the studio all together. And so you just they do your hair and makeup, and you kind of sit there and wait.
Did anybody on your show or get onto the show later on? Do you remember, or no, you don't even remember the people?
Let's see. I'm trying to think who I met. I know there was a girl who she made a deal with Mark Cuban, and she did hair products for children. And they did a deal, and I met her. That's cool. I think the other person I met, I don't think theirs ever aired. Yeah, I think I only met I remember really talking to the person I rode from the airport with to the hotel room, and then this other girl who was kind of around my age, and we talked some. Those are the only two I remember.
So when you get to the studio, you walk in. Where are they putting you? Are they putting you in a green room? Where do you go to?
Yeah, so first I was just in my own little room. They had Spatty on my door, and so I kind of sat in there, and they come get you and said, okay, come do your hair and makeup, and then I did that, and they kind of put you back there, and then you then when it gets close to your turn, then they moved me to a green room, I guess you would call it. It was kind of behind the stage, and curtains are around me, and I'm just kind of sitting in there waiting for them to come get me to go pitch. And you can kind of hear the people pitching, but not all the way. But every now and then you can hear a few things, or you can hear the Sharks laughing. When it gets loud, you can kind of hear what's going on.
So you go stand out, you walk down that aisle with the Sharks in the cages and the thing right next to you, which we all know is video. You didn't fool us, shark people. We know what it's in there. And then you walk down the hallway. I'm told by people from Shark Tank that are entrepreneurs that they tell you to keep walking towards the door and that will just open. Just don't stop. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I was pointing like, there they are. I'll give you their straight faces.
That's funny. And then Steve from Bar Harbor, Maine says, how intimidating is the 30-second wait while standing in front of the sharks while they change lighting? Did you have to go through that?
Yeah, so you stand there and they're like, they have to tell you when to go, so you go in there and you stand, they kind of are getting shots of just your face and just the sharks' faces. And so there's kind of everybody they said, don't smile. They tell you not to smile.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, but then it's hard not to smile because you're like trying to do a straight face, but then like your lips are kind of, trying, at least mine are. I'm not very good at it. I don't have a very good poker face. So when somebody tells me not to smile, I start smiling.
Yeah, you don't have a natural, no one has a natural face when you say don't smile. They all go to like the pucker, like,
yeah.
lips together. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. Oh, that's funny. So then that takes 30 seconds. What do the sharks do? Are they just staring at you?
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them are just kind of like looking at you, and then some of them are kind of looking down at their notes or, getting a sip of water or things like that.
Because they don't want to look at you either. They don't know. Yeah. There's no notes.
It's awkward for everybody.
Yeah, it probably is awkward for everybody. So then you go in, you start your pitch. It's pre-done. It's the same pitch you've been doing for months with your producers. I've only watched yours probably 50 times, so I could do it right now if you want me to. And I know you guys don't want me to, so I'm not going to do that. But you were very comfortable. You were smiling. You weren't moving. There's some things that would draw. You're not looking up or down. You're pretty. You're right on. You did a really good job. Did you feel that after you presented?
I do feel like I did a good job. I think with me, I went in there, it was just a handmade product. I didn't have any sales. I wasn't going in there, asking for a ton of money, and I wasn't going there asking just for them to get a little percent of my business. I knew going in, where I was at in the stage of it, I was going to, have to give up a large chunk of my business. And I say, this is just a chance I have, and I'm going to go here and take it. And if it doesn't happen, then, it's just a great opportunity that I had. And, maybe, it'll air and I'll get people to know about my product. And if I do get a deal, that's even, more fantastic. So I knew either way, it was a win-win, whatever happened. So
we're going to talk about that at the end, because it's interesting how different entrepreneurs I spoke with, their ending in some cases is catastrophic. I mean, it's life-changing to the bad. Some cases it's life-changing to the good. And some people walk away like you. And again, I want to talk about it in more detail later, but you were kind of like, this is just a stepping stone. And it was you were just kind of not blowing it off the experience, but at least on television, you were like, it was really nice experience. And I learned a lot and I got some good feedback, and it was just, I'll keep building my business. Is that really how you felt?
I mean, I was sad I didn't get a deal, but I knew, that with this, even though I didn't get a deal, I knew I had a good product, and I knew the sharks weren't like, they didn't not like the product. They didn't put any negative feedback towards it. It was just, you're so early on. We don't know how this is going to sell. We wish you the best. We'll help you out. There wasn't really anything that made me feel that I was on the wrong track with my product or anything like that. So I think for me, it's like, if this episode airs, then I can get, national exposure. This is the Spatty, and people will know about it. And I just felt that, it was going to work, and not, I had a lot of work to do ahead of me, but that's the type of person I am, that I will buckle down and I'll, get to work and I'll get, stuff done.
You said that a couple times in the studio as well to the Sharks. Mackenzie from Staten Island, New York asked this question, and I'm glad she did. Otherwise, I would have asked it. You seem to feel more comfortable when the Sharks were introduced to Spatty and Spatty Daddy and started to crack up. Were you?
Oh, yeah, I was, yes. So it went on for a long time, too. Like, the laughing, and they started, like, joking and saying this stuff. They called, Mr. Wonderful Kevin the Spatty Daddy. That's your new name. And it was like, and I know, like, when I would go to start to talk again, one of them would start laughing again. And so it just made the whole mood of the room change. I felt like,
yeah, when you and I'm sure it was even longer in real life as opposed to what we saw on television, the edited version, but it was funny because they did leave in one of Robert. You started up again, you were all calmed down, you said it like a sentence, and you said, and that's both with the Spatty and the Spatty Daddy, and he just starts cracking up. It's just like, here we go. So that was really cool.
It was been on for a while. It was fun though. It made it more kind of just like a I don't know, a casual conversation kind of in a way, it's just kind of like you're sitting down talking with friends, it was, and I remember Mark Cuban, before I got to the end of my pitch, they weren't supposed to ask any questions. They told me they're not going to ask you any questions. You're going to get through your pitch and then they'll start asking you questions. Well, some of them started asking questions and Mark was like, wait, are you done? I'm like, no, I still have, like another sentence I have to say. He's like, well, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. This is your one big shot or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. Where are we here? So one of the things going in that I would think about, and this is going to go to the question from Rich from Cranston, Rhode Island. He's asking, were there any weak areas of your business that you thought may be concerning when it got to the point of the sharks questioning you? And one of the things that comes to mind is the fact that you don't have a finished product. You are very early. Yeah. You know what I mean? Was that something you were concerned about? I mean, being with the producers, and you saw the elephant or whatever that happened in season 1, I think. Was it season 1? I think it was season 1.
Yeah, the Ava the elephant.
Yeah, Ava the elephant. That was, and by the way, I'm not, no offense to the young lady that did that. Matter of fact, she's going to be on next week. It barely looked like an elephant. Then you saw it like in the update on that. It was this perfectly manufactured elephant. It was unbelievable product. But was that a concern to you that you didn't have a finished product, or no? You knew going in that at least can give them a utility tool that will work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a lot of concerns, like I did know it was just handmade and I didn't have a business plan. I didn't know how I was going to get to market. I just knew I had a good product that people wanted. I don't have a background in business. My background's in special education. And then I became a speech language pathologist. And so just the whole business world, I knew nothing about. So, I mean, I knew going in that I was going to need, a lot of help and I would need a lot of direction. But I knew, a lot of these sharks would know some of stuff, especially like Lori with her on QVC, and Damien with a lot of his stuff. Those were the two I kind of went in, kind of feeling like they could help me out the best with the type of product that I had.
Completely shocked that Lori did not. I mean, that looked to me like one right down her alley. You know what I mean? Yes. You could sell 1 million of them. They're not outrageously expensive. There's good margin. I just thought that I was actually shocked when it didn't go that way. And you're right, Damon's the other one. Let me ask you this, Cheryl. The reoccurring theme to me, and by the way, if I'm you, I'm encouraged by this. Reoccurring theme is, one, you're too early, right? You're there with a stick with a piece of rubber on the end that pulls stuff out. But Kevin doesn't say nice things to people a lot. And I want to tell you, I'm going to read you something he said. He said, "This can be gold." He did. That came right out of his mouth.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, and here's what he also did. Damon said, but it doesn't get it all out. And he turns to Damon and says, and again, I'm just watching it on TV. I'm sure there's a lot of conversations. Yes. But he said, look, and he shows him, it gets it all out. Like, Kevin doesn't do that type of stuff. He's selling your Spatty.
He is. I know he was. He was doing awesome. He was doing it for me. Yes.
And I'm thinking, man, this thing must be really good. If he's and they actually show him and he's moving the brown stuff away. And it was like, man, that's a commercial. If I'm Cheryl, I got this on, reel, and I got to play that for everybody. You got, the most critical shark of them all is selling it to another shark. I thought was pretty cool. Did you realize that when it happened?
No, I think like in the moment, it's just, so much is going on and so many people are talking at the same time. And so I'm trying to, listen to what everybody's saying and, key in, but then you're also kind of nervous, standing up there. And then I knew the product worked. And so, but yeah, I think it was awesome when he said, was it really get it all out? And then he said, Kevin's like, it does, I was like, oh, he did it for me. So that was awesome. And I think, Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin, he did really like the product, but his thing was, I didn't have a business plan for it. And so, they're giving me, I was asking for $50,000. That's a lot of money, And so I completely understand, why they're like, we don't want to give you money when you don't really know how you're going to get it to market.
That's what I was going to say. That's kind of the plan. And I get that that's a criticism. They also said, a couple of them, I know Mark did, I think Kevin mentioned too, it's a product, not a company yet. But how do you start a company if you don't already have a product? I mean, there's a couple things that these guys say, but I have mad respect for all of them, right? I'm a big fan of the show, but some of the things they say, Kevin, I love Kevin. But Kevin often says, there's nothing proprietary about this one. Well, you don't invent anything new anymore. There's you know what I mean? It's very difficult to invent something new. And you did. I mean, that's amazing. Because you think about, go think of something, right? Pick up a piece of paper and fold it up and say, this is, the next paperweight or whatever, right? And then go look it up, and 15 people have it already because you think you have that idea. So it's very hard to create. They all want to talk about, this isn't proprietary and bigger companies can steal it. I don't buy into that as much. And same thing with the product before a company. You just have a product. You don't have a company yet. I get with the business plan. That's a critical piece. You have to have a plan going forward. But you had a really good product, which they were very tempted. Did you get a sense that they were tempted to push aside some of the things you don't have? Because this thing works, and it definitely can save people money.
Yeah, I did. I did feel that, that they all liked it. They were on the fence. They weren't quite sure. Like you said, Damon even offered help at the end. And, and Mr. Wonderful, he was like, you said the thing is sheer gold. And Lori just wasn't sure about the price point. And then Mark, the amount of help I would need. It's like, I just don't have the time to help you. You just need so much help. And, Robert, he was like, this could be great or it could be a flop. I don't know. So I think it's like, I just can't put my money in something. There's nothing out. Like you said, it was a new product. There wasn't anything to compare it to or how it would sell. And so they just didn't know and, how it would do. I'm going to show you.
We had, and by the way, don't worry about your kids. We've had kids go behind their parents on some of these and wave and one sign. It was, and we left it in. We don't care. It's just funny, right? So, so let me ask you this. So let's talk about Damon for a second, because you're walking out. I think you did a fantastic job. And like I said, I've watched this 54 times. And I'm trying to figure out an area I think it was Richard from Cranston, Rhode Island's question. Yeah. About, was there a weak spot of the thing? And I get the business plan. Fine. That's fine. But you had a product that worked. And aside from that, I mean, you delivered it. The squirt thing didn't go wrong. You got the stuff. You scooped it out appropriately. You definitely broke the ice with Spatty and Spatty Daddy, just the way you did it. So you said, this is Spatty and this is Spatty Daddy. And even I laughed the first time, years ago, but it was funny. So you get that done. Are you thinking while you're going through this? And by the way, I was watching you. Are you getting concerned as everybody's dropping out?
I am getting sad.
Yeah. And how we'd only see it condensed. How much time is that? Do they usually drop one after the other just to close the thing down, or do they drop at different times?
They might drop, and then someone keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And then another one might drop out. They might start talking to each other and, things like that. But yeah, it was kind of it wasn't just one right after the other. Like they would ask questions or some things like that in between. But yeah, I mean, some of them, like when he's like, I don't have the time, like, okay, I understand, I mean, it made me sad. Or, when Laura's like, just the price point of it, it's not going to sell on QVC, because the price is more than the ship. No, the shipping is more than the cost of the item. Cause I didn't know how much I was going to sell it for. I hadn't got the mold made. I didn't know how much it was going to cost to make it.
Yep.
And so she was like, I think this is a great product, but people aren't going to pay more for shipping than the product. So prices I gave them on Shark Tank, I just, was just grabbing at a number I didn't know. And so those are some things I wish, I would have known more, I guess, going into it. So yeah, I was just I guess I was discouraged and sad, I mean, I wanted a deal.
So you turn around, you're walking out, and Damon says, or you're just about to walk out. I don't think you're walking out, and Damon says, hey, by the way, Cheryl, I'll give you some contacts of two of the largest makeup people in New York City. I mean, that's a win right there.
Yes, that was huge. Yes, I was super excited about that because he didn't have to offer that.
No.
That was super nice of him. I remember he even called me before my show aired on Shark Tank. It was like wishing me luck. He was like, hey, this is Damon. I just wanted to, and call and,
wish you really luck. Cool.
Yeah. And he was like, all my friends or his friends, he's like, after they saw me on Shark Tank, they're like, you're really going to help that girl out, right? You can't not help her out if you told her you are. I was like, I'm going to tell you, they don't normally do that. He's like, they're like on me to make sure that I help you.
Oh, that's funny. That's cool. So did he end up helping you? And tell us a little bit more about you seeing the sharks again another time.
Yes. So yeah, but So on the show, when you see on my episode, I was the one that did like I forgot what they call it, but they kind of go to your town, they go to your house, they do like the little story about you, they kind of show around town. So that happens after the pitch. So I've already pitched the Sharks, and then my producers, and I already came back home, and my producers and everybody, you know, came out to my house to do that, the story on me. So that's kind of when they told me about Damon. He's going to, you know, follow up with me on those contacts and everything. So he did, you know, follow through with a lot of that stuff. And then he was actually, you know, trying to work on finding me somebody to license the Spatty and stuff too as well. And then a few years down the road, I get a call from Shark Tank saying, hey, we're looking to do a Second Chances episode, you know, to have 4 people back on, do a whole episode of people who were on the show who did not get a deal, but who are doing really well now and who, you know, the Shark Tank audience really liked. And so, you know, you're one of the ones that we want to have back on. And I'm like, yeah, you know, definitely, you know. And so, you know, I remember I went back out there, and this time, you know, when I started the business, I was in Bed Bath & Beyond. I've had my first child and stuff by then too. She was 4 months old going out there. So it's quite different, you know, about the 4-month-old and without any kids. So I went back out there, and I actually went back on Shark Tank, went back in front of the Sharks. And I remember when I walked out there, Mr. Wonderful kind of hit Damon on the shoulder, like, look who it is, you know. And, and Damon, I remember he told me, he's like, you know, he said that he regretted not making a deal with me. I think you asked me earlier, someone seemed like they wanted to make a deal, but, you know, weren't sure. Damon actually said, you know, I was one of the ones that he regretted not making a deal with.
That's nice.
When I was on there. And he said, you know, one of the things that they can't, when they tell somebody no, they're out, they're not supposed to have any contact with that person anymore. But since Damon offered to help me, you know, with contacts, he could still, you know, contact me through that. And so, so we kind of did a deal on the show that never aired, which I'm sad about. It'd been great if it would have aired, but it didn't. But that's okay. But with our deal is he represents Spatty. I am a Damon John Shark Tank product, but he just gets a percentage of the sales. So I still own 100% of the business, and he gets a percentage of the sales where he gets me in at.
So how is he helping you? What does he get? What is it? Licensing stuff, or is it?
So right now they're doing like a Damon John display type of thing in some CVS stores here coming up.
Oh, cool.
And they're going to. It's just a trial, and they're putting in a few stores. And so Spatty's one of the products that's under the Damon John Shark Tank products. And so
that's a perfect place. Don't you think CVS is like the perfect place for that?
I agree. Yes, definitely.
I mean, it's got everything in it with like, that's one of the places I try to keep my wife out of because you know what I mean? Because there's so much stuff. There's 8,000 hair gels and sprays and nails. And you always said, what do you think about this color? I'm like, it looks like exactly the same as the other one, but like a shade different. And that drives me crazy. But from a business standpoint, I think the Spatty is perfect for that. That would be great. Good luck with that. That's awesome. So let me ask you another question because I'm looking at Spatty behind you. By the way, it shows me what a moron that I am. When I first looked at it, I thought it said pastry.
And I was kind of behind my cabinet.
I couldn't see the S. But
I put the words up first instead of cabinet up first. And so I was like, I ain't moving it. It's up now.
That's funny. But where did obviously Spatty, I assume it's from spatula, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just it. You can't call it spatula.
So my husband actually came up with the name Spatty for small spatula. It's kind of where he,
it's a Spatty.
And they named it Spatty Daddy too, you know, so it's a larger one. So yeah. My husband came out with both the names for me.
He's a good man because he broke those sharks up pretty darn good.
He did.
So that's awesome. I'm glad that that's all working out. So let's talk a little bit about. I have a little thing to see for you to confirm or deny. Okay. I had, is it Scott or Steven from Econuts, and Mona was part of it at the time. I had a thing that Mona advised Cheryl about the 2013 Academy Awards gifting suite.
Yeah, I did do a gifting thing a while back. Yeah,
you handed out Spatties to stars in March of 2013. Is there
yes, there were some there. Yeah,
there
were some. Yeah, it was fun. I don't know that it was fun. It was fun to go out there and do it. And to see, you know, some of them. I wasn't really any. I did meet Buzz Aldrin.
So that was pretty darn cool. I mean, the guy walking on the moon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was really cool. My husband was really excited.
Harrison Ford would have been cool too, but Harrison Ford didn't walk on the moon.
Yeah.
That's
and
pretty
so
cool.
and then who else? So there's another one that I met. I can't think of his name right now though. There was a couple of large name ones, but there were a lot of them I didn't know. But it was a fun experience, to get to go out there and do that. And so yeah, I mean it'd be cool to meet, maybe like some big ones like Beyonce or
Yeah, right. That would be awesome. So Richie from Tom River, New Jersey wants to know, what was the most memorable part of being associated? Because you've gone through it twice. Was there something that sticks out that you think about, whether it was on camera, off camera, that you say that was really the coolest thing about Shark Tank?
Just the overall experience. I think
Yeah.
for me, it was a positive experience, even though I didn't get a deal. It got the word out there about Spatty because they did, air it, and the sharks did like the product. That it just, I have a different, I think a lot of people come to me and ask me about, starting businesses, and I feel like, mine's just such a unique experience because my business started on Shark Tank. Really,
Yeah.
It was handmade, and due to the popularity of Shark Tank, people were able to see the product and did pre-orders, and so I was able to pay for the mold and pay for the products with the pre-orders they had from being on Shark Tank and for people seeing that. So I think I got my start from being on that national show. So it's overall I just am very thankful for it and grateful for it.
What was the Shark Tank effect like that everybody talks about?
I was not ready.
You weren't ready.
I was not ready.
Where were you?
I had no idea
what was going to be
like. Oh my goodness. I remember when it aired, I had, a Facebook page, but that's all I had. I didn't have like any Instagram or anything else, or Twitter. I think I just had a Facebook page and I had my website. I remember I just had thousands of emails and comments on Facebook. And I remember I was just as soon as my part started and I was watching it with my family, as soon as I started walking out on there, like the orders just already started coming in. The messages and the emails already started coming in before I even said a single word. Like as soon as I started walking, I'm like, what is going on? And then,
wait till I start talking what they say.
I know. And I remember I was up. I was still working full time as a speech pathologist in the schools. And I just remember being up every night till like 1, 2 in the morning, trying to answer emails, answer questions. It was just me. I didn't have a team of people.
Yeah.
I didn't have any social media person. I didn't have any assistant to help answer emails. And so I remember just trying to go through all these emails and get back to everybody. And luckily 99% of the people were very nice. And there's a couple like, hey, why have you not gotten back to me? Like, I'm sorry. Like I have 20,000 emails I'm trying to reply to. And
this isn't Cheryl, any other Cheryl. This is Cheryl. I'm the person that does the orders. I did the
yes.
pitch. I did it. Oh my
all the hats. And and finally when I got product, because it was all pre-orders. And so it did take about 3 months for me to get product to ship out to people. Because when my episode aired, they were still making my mold. And so I had to wait for my mold to get made. I had to wait and try out different material to see which material worked to make the product. And then they had to make it. And I didn't have packaging. And so I remember we were just like putting them in these little tubes. Me, my dad, my mom, and my husband were all up, at night, packing these things and shipping them out. And it took us, I don't know how long.
Don't they show that on one of your updates? You guys?
Yeah, it did. It kind of showed them helping me pack.
Yeah, in the living room, like everybody's in there packing.
Yes, that's what we were doing.
That's cool.
Yes.
That was cool. So, do you get a bump every time it's the rerun on CNBC or whatever? Is that you feel that a little bit?
We do. Nothing like the original one.
No,
but
no. But you could always tell when it's on TV because you get 10 orders or something, right? Or 20 or whatever.
Yeah, it must have been on Shark Tank.
That's pretty cool. I would be watching myself every single time that it came on. Like I would find out, I'm on again. Okay. I drive my family crazy. You've seen yourself 50 times, Nick. Put it away. Before we get to what's going on today, I want to ask a question from Nathan from Billings, Montana. I think that's the first Montana question I've ever had. Is it? No? Well, sure. You don't know. What's the biggest misconception about Shark Tank? Was there anything that you saw? And I don't mean, it doesn't have to mean, Kevin seems, really evil and he's great. I'm not saying that, but is there anything that you thought about Shark Tank, even from a physical standpoint? Like I've had somebody mention that the sharks were much closer. He didn't know why he felt like it was going to be farther away. He said I could see their face really clear and they're in front of me. What was any misconceptions that stick out to you regarding Shark Tank?
Not that I can think of. I don't know what kind of conceptions people have, the show. That, like you said earlier, Kevin's really mean, but he wasn't to me. They were all nice to me.
Yeah.
So I think I'm, got lucky in that standpoint. Maybe I don't know. People don't. I think maybe not as many deals go through is what people think. When there's deals are mainly showed, doesn't mean they're actually going to, happen. The shark might pull out, or the entrepreneur might pull out for one way or another. I do feel that it's gotten so big now that a lot of people are going on there to not make deals, but more just to go on there and get the
advertisement
recognition and get the advertisement out there.
That's unfortunate. And it seems like Mark and Damon in particularly are like really scouting and hawking for that, right? They're Mark, he said it 100 times. I don't think you're here for a deal. If he said it once, he said it 100 times that, you're not here to make a deal. And you could tell some people that have huge, crazy, I want $500,000 for 3%. And by the time, that they're not doing anything for 3%. They won't get out of bed for less than 10% in many cases. Yeah. So the people that come in with those kind of valuations, they're just setting themselves up, I think, for some ridicule. But that's a good point. The other thing is I've realized through doing this series is you're 100% right. There's been many people that I've talked to, because I've had people, obviously, even though Cheryl and Spatty is one of the most famous Shark Tank ones, she didn't get a deal until the second time when she got one with Damon. But there's a lot of people that actually, not a lot, but there's people that I know that have gone on and filmed and got a deal, and they've never got onto air. Like they never went to air, which you think is, it's already got a deal and it's already went through. And
you think the sharks would want it to air? Like,
you think they would want to push the publicity and the promotion of that opportunity. Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Spatty and Spatty Daddy. What's going on today? How's things going? Has the product evolved? Is it, where is it, from a storefront? You mentioned CVS. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So when I started off, it was just kind of the one product, and I made it in blue so it could be generic, for anybody. But then as I was going on, I was like, well, I made a pink one for cosmetic, and then I have a blue one for kitchen. And then people are like, oh, I use this for my crafting, or my husband stole my Spatty and it's in his garage. Can you make a guy colored one? He has a pink Spatty in his garage or something. I want my Spatty back, and or stuff like that. And so I had, it's the same product. I just packaged it and, made a different color. So I have one for like a handyman that's black and gray that you can be used around the house or in the garage. Then I have a crafting one for DIYers or for teachers, red.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
And I made a smaller one. I had so many people want one for lip gloss, and the smaller Spatty does work for lip gloss, but it's a tight fit. So I made a smaller one that would work better for lip gloss and lipstick that I just came out with. And then, so that one's been a really big hit with people for the lip gloss Spatty. And then I'm doing like special ones now. So I did like a purple one. Then I'm going to do a Halloween one that has like a glow in the dark candle, and starting to do just some different little things. And I have little caddies that you can store the Spatties in if you want to, a Spatty caddy.
Oh, nice. Spatty
caddy.
Oh, that's nice. Does it go like to the side of the refrigerator? Like where does it attach to?
It's just like a little, it's like a little tube.
Oh, and you stick it in. I get you.
Yeah, you stick it in and kind of close it, keep it clean.
Oh, got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
My son Luca, while we were watching, not on TV when we were watching, well, it was the episode. I was watching it in my office, and he came in and we're watching it, and he said, "Hey, Dad, we need one of those for like we had burgers cooked out over the weekend." He said, "We could have used one of those for the ketchup when I couldn't get any ketchup out of the jar." And I was thinking maybe they do use the Spatty Daddy for get it in the ketchup. I don't know.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Yeah, and it would work perfectly.
Yes, so having the blue kitchen one now for that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Mustard bottles. Yeah.
Where do people find Spatty and Spatty Daddy? Do they best go into your website? Where should they head to find?
Well, website's the best, but we also have Amazon and Walmart and Albertsons. CVS is going to be some stores. They're doing, like I said, like a trial of it. We're in Hy-Vee, Giant Eagle.
Yeah. Jeez.
Some of the places. So yeah.
That's
And then,
fantastic. Are you still building? Is the business still building? I mean,
yes, yeah, we're still building. Yeah, still getting into more, brick and mortar stores and, building like on Amazon and,
yeah.
increasing the sales stuff there. Um, so.
Last question from me, and I'll let you go because I took
You're
her
fine.
away from the pool too. By the way, guys, it's like, go with her kids and let her have a good time. Does being on Shark Tank give you instant credibility? Like if you call up Giant Eagle and you say, "Listen, I have the Spatty," and some smart buyer says, "What the heck is a Spatty?" And you say, "Well, I was on Shark Tank. I said Shark Tank." Do they all of a sudden go, "Oh yeah, come on in and here, I'll give you a half hour"?
I think it does. I do think it does. I think, Shark Tank's kind of the new as seen on TV.
Yeah.
Type of thing in stores. People want to go to that section and kind of see, what's here, what kind of, things are here. And I think, it being on Shark Tank, it does have kind of that people are wanting to know more about your product, when it is on that type of show. It definitely does.
Well, and they've done the vetting. I mean, think about what Cheryl said about the whole months before the show that she's dealing with executive producers. They're not going to put junk on television. And, I know there's some gimmicky things that they put on occasionally. You get some goofy guy that's, selling socks and they're like, no one's going to invest in this. But it's really, that was early season. Now they're getting unbelievable shows and with real, things that people can use. And so they don't want to, they want to put the best stuff on TV. There's no question about it. And I was just wondering, as you call and as you build your business, having that on your resume that you were on Shark Tank is just, it's pretty awesome. So.
It is pretty awesome. It's a huge thing. It's a huge deal. Yeah. Cause it's not me. I don't know how many people, applied to be on that show that actually, wind up getting on. And you say, some people don't even get to air, but it really is. I think, when you write to the buyers and stuff, they definitely are more willing to write you back and talk to you more and learn more about your product.
Are you still in communication with Damon at all?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got the CVS thing going, right? So yeah, that would be, I mean, just think about it though. He's got a team, right? And he's still involved with you. It just says something about his commitment to, that he made to you, right? So
yeah, and there's actually a guy who was on Shark Tank, Maury, who works for Damon now and does his sales for him.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Huh. That's pretty cool, yeah.
Well, listen, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go back to the pool. I'm really excited you were on the show. I can't wait to show it to my family. I'm sure they'll say, you should have asked her, but why didn't you ask her? But whatever. I guess.
You can email me and I'll answer
it. Yeah. I'll send you an email and you'll send it back to me. Thank you, Cheryl, for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. It was fun.
All right. Stay tuned for more What Would You Ask? We'll be back in a minute.